Hello, hello. Today we are going to play the Beginner's Guide, which I don't know much about. Apart from the fact that it's from the same dude that made the Stanley Parable. So I'm expecting some kind of crazy narrative again, I guess. So, let's see. My audio is on. That I have changed.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Can I put the captions somewhere that's not at the top? Apparently not. That's a bit annoying.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for CounterStrike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
That does look like a CS source.
What I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Warning, Whisper Machine status active. Evacuate immediately.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
The gun is empty and can't reload, by the way.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance,
You
have this
think?
gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere. But then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
I noticed.
But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Oh no.
The space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it. Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too. Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
No. I guess no doesn't do anything, right?
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Classic. Wow, that's not much of a labyrinth, is it?
You to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
The past was behind her, okay.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
But
So
the future
it's a
could not be
short
seen.
and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Why does the future keep changing? When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength? Do something? To confront it? Oh, that is
It
clever.
says what it wants to say and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
That's clever
Which
with
to
the
me
door
is why it
disappearing.
works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
I don't know if I like this game. You're now entering, and by that I mean the entire beginner's guide thing.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
There's a certain fulfillment in getting something done and then forgetting about it and never having to touch it again. So I can
Once you've been
kind of
slowed
understand
to an
this.
absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
I mean, I can enter the door just like this, right? Stand on an X staring at the bear for 3 hours. You must address and rally a group of eager press reporters. A stranger appears. What the fuck?
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Oh. Game filled with chairs, except one chair is floating. You are a gate.
He didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that.
Normal game we have to scream into a mic every 15 seconds to keep playing. Key in one game unlocks the door in a completely separate game. Series of lavish manuals that do something. Okay, let's fish. Wait, I didn't get to fish. That's not nice.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
What?
Don't forget that solution, because we're
Aha.
going to see this puzzle again soon. We're going to see it a lot. So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
What the fuck?
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game
What the fuck?
is a stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player.
I can't reduce music volume, that's a bit
So
annoying.
if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
You're now exiting.
So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is. Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
What was sound gone?
Things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making.
Yep.
You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
You could say that. Wait, can I just, you know... Yep. I cheated the system. Linear boxy corridors, you said.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind,
I like that guy.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if you can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And
that's
so
a bit mood if he doesn't publish the stuff.
There was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere.
Of course not. Of course not, that was the point, right? To say that a game being playable doesn't mean it's good. And inferring the opposite point, that if a game is not playable, that doesn't mean it's not good.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
You there, did you come from up above? What was up there?
Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Yes, there was a world stamped with whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Yes, there was those floating colored blocks. That's the world above. You've been there. Now that's important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. Now I don't remember having to go through any puzzle, or I'd prefer not to tell you. I'd prefer not to tell you. What? But you don't understand. We are trapped here. That puzzle's our only escape. We need to get through it. You think you want to get through, but trust me, you don't. Let me describe it for you. Let me tell you all about what is over there. Alright, I will tell you how to solve it. Oh no, but I do. We do. We need to get there. Do you understand? It is the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there's nothing I want more. Hello, how did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Nope. Been right here this entire time. Just you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit in the black space in the middle. Why would I sit in the black space? Well, it's plenty peaceful. It may not seem that way at first, but you'll come to think so in time. Eventually.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Interesting.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. I call bullshit. Because I can't leave any notes. Nice room, not.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this
How do you
game
beat
is
this
not
game?
connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Okay, the sound is random, not associated to each message.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution. He understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together, to grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Oh look, a lamppost. Oh, that's how you leave notes, that's clever. Are you there? Please say something. It can be anything, I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak, 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 speak. Pawn stars die too.
This one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it. See, this is it, the whole game, and there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool, here's version 2.
But furniture ought to go in the center of the room. TV with surround sound refrigerator. Put a giant hole in the ground. That's not a huge hole. What about along the wall of the room? Let's put a huge picture of a horse. I'd really like a washing machine, 10 stoves lined up along the wall. Maybe we should light up this room a bit. Skylight, full ceiling window, let's open this baby up. Thinking 10 times 12 recessed electric 6-inch soft LED ceiling lights with fluorescent trim. We'll put live Tesla coils in each corner. Oh. And a table, you need a table. Who are you? Where exactly are you doing this from? You sure none of my choices are making any difference? Tables were invented in 1935.
There's a bit more to this one, but still it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
What do you mean it's weird? That's perfectly normal.
So okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Please walk forward. No. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully, take care that you remember each step. First, click on this table. Good, go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa, move it over a little. Finally touch the shelves. That's it, in the real prison the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. What the fuck?
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. There's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside.
Oh my god.
Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
What? Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. You're me? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yep. I was in the furniture maze. Yep. I was in the escape tutorial. Yep. I was in the reverse prison.
This is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still
That's where I am right now.
yourself. You know, all
Well, I'm
of
so
these
glad to
games
know that I got out
are
eventually.
Coda
What's
talking
it like to
himself.
escape? Do you feel any different? Sometimes I'm scared I'll get out and then things will be exactly the same as before. No, I'm really the same person now as I was back then. Oh no, that's awful. That's the worst thing I can imagine. Well, it's actually not a bad thing. Well, you get something else in exchange. The problem is that you don't actually know who you are right now. Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, I think I'm the first person to call back. Then can you tell me how to get out? Maybe I can come find you. What do I have to do? To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. To get out, you need to tell me how you feel right now. To get out, just talk with me for a bit. What? That will free me. How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. Just talk to me. It will make sense. I think not. Okay, I can talk. Let's just talk for a bit. Will you be in here? I will be here for as long as you need.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't know.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself? To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Oh my goodness, I'm glad as all heck that you showed up. Thought I might be having to clean this entire house all by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes. If you worry about me a place this nice, I'll be glad to stay here all night.
Notice
And
that
lousy
the quality
homes
of the art
make
is a
home
step up
loners.
from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Are we cleaning this whole place? That's the story, little one. But don't you worry now, we'll be through this mess in no time. I promise you'll wish there was more. Why don't I finish up here? In the meantime, you could please clear the table. Whew. Much nicer, that's the table I want to see. Now would you please run into the bedroom and make the bed? He's just standing there doing nothing. While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a bit? All the little details matter. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? How'd you end up doing this job? It's been a long time since I've seen a house this messy. Line of work, let go of those judgments pretty fast. May not be your apartment, but something in your life needs straightening up. You think you got nothing that needs cleaning, be careful, because that means it's everything. Any rate, my place is just to see a bit of peace brought here. Speaking of which, the pillows on this couch are a wreck. Would you come out and straighten them up? Oh dear, looks like someone spilled a drink over by the couch. Maybe mop that up as long you're over there. You're compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. No. No, it was stupid, sorry. Never mind. Hey, these dishes needs to be washed. Why don't you come do that? Last I checked, the tub needed cleaning. Are there still books scattered on the floor of the bedroom? So would you put them back on the shelf? Perfecto. Now then, how about you come and clear these dishes off? Wait a second.
This house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you. And eventually,
darling, let me tell you something.
Meaningful.
Whatever work you do, you've absolutely got to own it. Otherwise, it owns you. So why don't we be with the task at hand and leave the future trust the future you? Present you wants to smooth out the rug in the bedroom, believe it or not. Trust me on this one.
Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time. Just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Wait, that's not what I said. Anyway. So. Housekeeping. Let's keep doing this.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace. But, of course,
Do you enjoy
it can't
this?
last.
Nope,
The music
I do not,
stops,
honestly.
Your companion is gone. It's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive. Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
I didn't see love and
This
members
one
only
gets a bit
prices.
goofy.
Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. We came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself, compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful, and tend to make you into that person? Perfection is within your grasp. The question is not how do we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly. This is easy. So easy. It is so easy.
About halfway through the game, the
Being
perspective
perfect is
shifts.
effortless.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now. I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other
The
person
fuck?
is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you.
This
This is not my
took a lot
game.
longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one.
It is
Twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this. And it's not like it's
Not my game.
particularly complex. So I remember I found that a little strange.
so.
at the time.
I'm going to stop here and go play something else. That is more fun, right? If you want to check this out, I think Steam sale is about to end. So, yeah, I guess you are missing your chance. Yeah. It is not a game for me. It's not even much of a game, is it? And I find myself not really paying attention to what's happening because it is not fun to me. So I guess at this point it is already beginner's guide out.